Well, we have a brand new trilogy of Stranger movies coming out, starting with The Strangers Chapter 1. I just saw it. We're going to review it. Let's do this. The Strangers Chapter 1 stars Madeleine Petsch, Ryan Bone, and is directed by Renny Harlin. What's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new 2024 review. We are going to review The Strangers Chapter 1. Now, if you follow my second channel, Drumdums Xtra, you'll see that I put a video on there last night talking about how it's kind of weird that there's been no advanced screenings, critic screenings, anything to kind of get a positive buzz out about a movie. I'd say most of the time, if they're not letting people see the movie early, people that can actually put reviews out early, that's a bad sign. And I was right, because this movie is really, really bad. Let me give you a little bit of backstory with me and The Strangers. I love the other two movies. Love the first movie with Liv Tyler, Scott Speedman, which this is pretty much a remake of. I didn't know that for sure because of the trailer, but after seeing the movie, yeah, there are some minor differences here and there, but for the most part, young couple in this cabin, in this case Airbnb, and they are pretty much tortured, like psychologically tortured throughout the entire movie. But before we dive in, if you are not subscribed to Drumdums Xtra, I urge you to subscribe because that's where I do a lot of my horror updates. I'm starting to do more produced updates on that channel, but I also do a lot of live stream clips, topical type stuff, and my unbox videos. Really fun stuff over there. A lot of you guys, hell, I had some guy tell me yesterday he actually prefers Drumdums Xtra over Drumdums. I don't know if that's a compliment or an insult, but I'll take it. I'll take what I can get. You know what you like. The clips are big these days. But anyway, let's get into the review for The Strangers Chapter 1. Was I excited for this movie? Absolutely I was. I'm a big fan of the franchise. I like the previous two movies, like I said earlier. I was very intrigued by the idea of this being a trilogy. And what I will say, after watching the first movie, I am intrigued, interested in where they go from here. And without spoiling anything, there was a later scene in the movie that you can say is going to kind of tie into part two that sort of reminded me of like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say what scene in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, but you'll know once you see the scene, all right? But I kind of gave away the quick plot synopsis because, like I said, it's pretty much a remake of the original. Madeleine Petsch plays Maya and her boyfriend of 5 years. He hasn't proposed to her yet. Jeff, played by Ryan Bone. Is it Bone? Bown? B-O-W-N. I think it's Bown. And we're pretty much spending most of the movie with these two characters. And then, of course, we have our killers, the potato sack head killer, and then Dollface and Pinup Girl. This movie, one minor gripe that I had visually is that in the previous two movies, there was a long blonde-haired person, and that really helped me differentiate between Dollface and Pinup Girl. I never really thought about how similar their masks look until this movie. I don't know why they didn't do that. I think the movie would have benefited from doing that. Let me give you, I guess, one or two things that I liked, and mostly they involve potential. I hate to use that word potential when I'm talking about pros because that means we didn't get there, right? And that's pretty much what happened. There were some great, beautiful cinematography in this. The stage is set for some creepy vibes. You got a record player playing some old 70s country type music. That's great stuff. I love that stuff. But it's all just kind of set dressing here. It doesn't really add to any of the scares like it should. As far as Madeleine Petsch and Ryan Bone, their performances, for the most part, I guess, they're decent actors. There is a scene in the movie where they have a tender moment together that I thought was really nice. I wish the entire movie could have lived up to the level of acting that they did in that one particular scene. When you look at the performances of Scott Speedman and Liv Tyler, and I know it's hard not compare this movie to that movie, especially after seeing it, because this is pretty much a remake. Their performances felt so real, so organic. And there are so many times in this movie where you have killers in a house. And this movie even flexes at the beginning saying, this is one of the most brutal documented cases of murder in American history. And as soon as they put that on the screen, I was like, oh yeah, here we go. What do you got for me, okay? You got your horror fan here. Let's go. And no, it doesn't deliver at all on that front. This is more about trying to create tension and really leaning heavily on tension and not actually executing any like crazy kills or anything like that. Look, I have no problem with tension in horror movies. I think when it's done well, then it's great. And I think John Carpenter is probably the master at creating tension. I couldn't help but think of the original Halloween and how great the tension was in that movie, because there's a lot of space between the kills in the original Halloween. But Carpenter just does such a great job of doing the cat and mouse game and being creative with maybe not the kills, but the setups and the tension. And to me, this movie felt like, as far as setting up kills or setting up tension, it was a one-trick pony. You have the character in the foreground, and then they might move to the right or to the left, and you'll see a killer behind them. And then they'll move one direction and then move again. And of course, you guessed it, the killer is gone. And they do that so many times in this freaking movie. And, you know, us horror fans, we're going to call you out on that shit. You have to be a lot more creative than that. You have to have a whole bag of tricks, right? And this movie just doesn't have that. And it's sad, too, because Renny Harlin, I'm not the biggest fan of his, but, you know, I thought he was really creative with Nightmare 4. I thought Nightmare 4, as cheesy as it was at times, there were some really interesting setups throughout. You know, it's a Freddy movie. You better have some creative stuff. But this movie, like I said, was pretty much just a one-trick pony throughout the whole thing. There were quite a few moments where I was like, just freaking kill them already, okay? Because they just keep teasing and teasing and teasing. And I know these killers, they like to play with their victims. But there are certain situations, be it where the victim has like a weapon in their hand and they could have the upper hand, and you're probably not going to want to take chances in that situation, but they do anyway. So this is where it comes down to character decisions that I thought were really stupid. And I've defended, for instance, Prey at Night countless times about character decisions, because I think the setups and the situations that those characters were in that movie, yeah, they might not have been the best decisions, but they were believable, especially when you're dealing with teenagers. The acting, the performances sold it for me in those movies. Bailey Madison was amazing, you know, acting-wise in Prey at Night. And I think she's what sold those character decisions for me. In this movie, I felt like the talent was turning it up to like 50%. There were quite a few situations, especially in the first half of the movie, where, you know, the characters already know that the killer is a threat. And their reactions to that, I was just like, bullshit. You would be pissing your fucking pants right now, okay? Shitting yourself. And it just felt like they were just in a movie. That's what it felt like. If you are literally in a situation where you hear a loud knock at the door, where you know that somebody's out your window, that somebody could get in, you are going to react like you have never reacted before. The fear that you will have in yourself. And this has nothing to do with being brave, but what I'm talking about is just fear. What you do after the fear, it could go different ways depending on who you are as a person. But the fear is still going to be there. And I didn't think it was always there in this, especially in the first half. So yeah, guys, I'm going to stop it right there. This movie is easily a 2 hours lost. I'm curious about the second and third movie, but you don't get a pass for being lazy in the first movie. I think Fear Street is a great example. I think all three of those movies were really good, and I thought they started us off with a bang, and I think that's what you want to do if you're going to do a trilogy. Start off the first movie with a bang and just go for broke. You know, let's throw everything in the kitchen sink at this movie, and let's just make each movie count. And I feel like they were pulling back in this one, and they were saving for whatever the next movie is, okay? And what's gonna happen is you're gonna have kind of a disjointed trilogy quality-wise if these next two movies are really good. So yeah, 2 hours lost for this one, guys. It's such a freaking shame. I wanted to love this movie. I'm a fan of this franchise, and it just felt lazy. So yeah, stock, right? There's your word for today, stock. That's what this movie was, all right? So I hope you guys have some fun with this movie. My buddy Dan, he was at this showing, and he actually found some enjoyment in the movie. He thought there were some definite possibilities going forward, and that's great. But still, the first movie's got to be good for me. Also, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day. And on Fridays, we do Free for Fridays. Follow my Drumdums on my social, support me on Patreon, buy me a coffee. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a good day. Drumdum out.